Okay, so we are in Jeremiah 51, I believe, this morning. My new schedule with everything kind of throwing me off here. I don't get as many opportunities to get here. Maybe I need to move something around to make it so I can get here, like, I don't know, on the weekend maybe. I'm not sure, but pretty much only have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday mornings, and that's all I have. Well, trying to work everything out, but it's hard. And I actually picked up another shift last night because I was helping out a coworker, but didn't want to do that, so now we could go on. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's start in prayer from Matthew chapter 6, verse 9. After this manner, therefore pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Okay. I'm getting a cold sore from the masks, I think. I don't know. So I apologize if that offends you. We're in chapter 51. What happened last time with 50? Well, it's when Babylon falls. That's me. Well, there's I think there's a lot of Bible speakers that talk about the United States being Babylon. It's a cultural representation, I think, more than anything. Like how McGee always claimed that Rome never, like, was conquered. You know, that's typically what you saw with all those nations before it. You know, you had Babylon, Medo-Persia, and Greece, and they were conquered and eaten by this fourth beast that is just unstoppable. It's, I mean, you think about that. The Roman, could anything compete with Rome at that time? And then you think about that mindset, and can anything compete with that? I don't know. But McGee always thought that Rome just fell apart. And I think it's the same thing with this mindset of the Babylonian mindset of decadence, I'd say. Arrogance, decadence, justification of sin, moral rot. I think I was talking last time about, well, last time I was here I did my Cowboys video. Got 40 views, which is a lot for me. But in that video I talked about how behavior is becoming so bad that it's coming to a head where you have to either everyone becomes a cowboy or we say no to a moral rot. Um, but this last chapter was describing the fall of Babylon, which both at this time in Jeremiah, they were conquered by Babylon. And when you've just been conquered by the most powerful force on the planet at that time, you're probably not too positive about your outlook on life and everything. So, but God is telling them that that's going to happen. So it's both at that time and it's speaking into the future, I'd say. And we're continuing that idea in chapter 51. So I think I'll just keep reading here. All right. So starting at chapter 51 of Jeremiah, the prophecy against Babylon continued. Verse 1. Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind. And that first verse there sounds like, well, I mean, that's something that continuously happens, doesn't it? I mean, think of Jeroboam, how he originally was kind of important to Solomon, right? And then Solomon ends up trying to kill him. And then he flees away to Egypt, but then when his son Rehoboam comes into power, then Jeroboam makes his appearance. And I think it says that specifically about Jeroboam, that God was raising him up to, I mean, God isn't necessarily trying to bring people to sin, but he's raising up a problem because there is a problem with their walk with him. So Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, maybe potentially he could have been a great king, but instead he chose to put up those golden calves. And I mean, he could have still worshiped God. He still could have led the people to worship God, even though the country was divided then at that point. He still could have worshiped God. He still could have done the right thing, but instead he chose the golden calves and bad stuff and all that. So, but God brings up an adversary. Maybe I mean, Babylon too. They started out small, right? They probably weren't significant at the time when Hezekiah showed them all his treasure houses. He probably didn't even consider them a threat at that time, right? Probably part of the reason why he showed them all that. These are Babylonians. But then Medo-Persia is going to be a threat to them, and they're going to take control. Maybe that's when they really perfected the arrow usage. We talked a little bit about that, and it describes that about Medo-Persia, them being blanketing an area with arrows. And then the Greeks figured that out, right? You block it. They form a turtle, right? And they just block all the arrows with the turtle defense, phalanx. All right, so he's raising up somebody against Babylon. 2. And will send unto Babylon fanners. that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. And against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine. And spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his God, of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Another great discussion point there. How merciful God is. How patient, how forgiving. Just amazing. 6. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. The day of the Lord's vengeance, is that talking about the end times type judgment? And then also, what about the wound and the healing? And what about the beast system? Can it be healed? I'm talking about too many different things, but I'm just wondering if there's something prophetic associated with 8. I know that's more associated with Rome, right? Or is it? I don't know. Never mind. 9. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. The Lord hath brought forth our righteousness. Come, and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord our God. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. For his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. Wow, this is a long chapter. 12. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong, set up the watchmen, prepare the ambushes. For the Lord hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. The Lord of hosts hath sworn by himself, saying, Surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee. He hath made the earth by his power, he hath established the world by his wisdom, and hath stretched out the heaven by his understanding. When he uttereth his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causeth the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightnings with rain, and bringeth forth the wind out of his treasuries. Every man is brutish by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image. For his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. There's that phrase again, brutish. I feel like 17 is like another statement about how typical we are as human beings in the flesh, you know, how we can become prideful and stupid, you know. We like this guy who's just attacking me all the time. Like, I say openly to him, just in admittance of a reality of every person, you know, every person is a sinner. And then he'll dig into that and say, oh, you're a sinner. Oh, of course you're a sinner. I knew it. I knew you were a sinner. You know, when 17, it says, every man is brutish by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded with graven image for his molding. And what about the phrase, no one is righteous, no, not one, you know, those are important verses in the Bible. It's a reality that we all fall short of him. And when you read that 17, in your flesh, in my flesh dwelleth no good thing. There it is again. And this guy will keep attacking me like, oh, so you go out and have your prostitutes every day then, huh? I knew it! I knew that's what he did! No, I don't. I'm very boring, actually. But anyway, so I'm just being honest that I am not good. Nobody is, actually. It's another hint, I feel, at Christ, and that I really, on my own in the flesh, I'm not good. You know, I'm a brutish filth. I'm not, it's all about Christ. That's what I always try to bring it back to. It's about Christ. It's not about me. It's not even about what I've done or what rules or laws I've obeyed. And this guy will claim that he follows the rules, the law perfectly. You know, even by saying that, he's sinning. But he says that, and then he points the finger at me just because I say something that, let's be honest, it's the truth about all of us. So that's interesting. That's an interesting verse there. Sorry, I'm getting off topic here. 18. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation they shall perish. Yeah, and without Christ, that's what I boil down to. I am vanity, pointless. My life is pointless without Christ. It's all about Him and my relationship with Him. And that discussion point is almost on an individual basis. It's not, yes, I can seek help from others, but when others try to rule over me and make me think that I have to please this man, that's what this guy does, you know, and that's why I guess I've had my falling out with him. I hope I don't have to deal with him anymore, or maybe he'll finally wake up, but that's what he's doing. He's lording it over me and making me think I have to follow his standard when his standard isn't even possible. It's not even biblical. It's really just blindness. And what I said, I called him a wannabe Pharisee. That's what he is. Now, if he were my brother and he were actually trying to help me, that would be a different situation, and everybody needs help, and everybody could get some guidance. But when you think you're good enough, or you think that you're saved by your works or by the law, I think he's a Jew. He's not a Christian. And for me to then go under that guy and say he's my Lord, then I'm not really worshiping God anymore. I'm worshiping that guy. And the guy is stupid. Let's be honest. No, let's not be derogatory. He's not thinking clearly, and he's not looking at the Bible. Yeah, never mind. We have to finish this chapter, and it's a long one. When I get to a controversial verse like that, it just... Okay. They are vanity, the work of errors. That's me in the flesh. In the time of their visitation they shall perish. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war, for with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. And with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman, and with thee will I break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock. And with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, and with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers. And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith the Lord. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith the Lord, which destroyest all the earth. And I will stretch out mine hand upon thee, and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain. And they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations, but thou shalt be desolate forever, saith the Lord. Set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her. Call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Minni, and Ashkenaz. Appoint a captain against her. Cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. Prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and the land of his dominion. It sounds like it's jumping back and forth here. I mean, maybe it's symbolic of end time stuff, but it's also, that's who gets it, right? The Babylonians get conquered by the Medes and the Persians. 29. And the land shall tremble and sorrow, for every purpose of the Lord shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without an inhabitant. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holds. Their might hath failed. They became as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end, and that the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burned with fire, and the men of war are affrighted. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her, yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. Nebuchadrezzar, the king of Babylon, hath devoured me. He hath crushed me. He hath made me an empty vessel. He hath swallowed me up like a dragon. He hath filled his belly with my delicates. He hath cast me out. The violence done to me and to my flesh be upon Babylon, shall the inhabitant of Zion say, and may blood upon the inhabitants of Chaldea shall Jerusalem say, and my blood upon the inhabitants of Chaldea shall Jerusalem say. 36. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will plead thy cause, and take vengeance for thee, and I will dry up her sea, and make her springs dry. And Babylon shall become heaps, a dwelling place for dragons, an astonishment and an hissing without an inhabitant. They shall roar together like lions, they shall yell as lions' whelps. In their heat I will make their feasts, and I will make them drunken, that they may rejoice and sleep a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith the Lord. I will bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams with he-goats. How is Sheshach taken, and how is the praise of the whole earth surprised? How is Babylon become an astonishment among the nations? The sea is come up upon Babylon, she is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. Her cities are a desolation, a dry land and a wilderness, a land wherein no man dwelleth, neither doth any son of man pass thereby. And I will punish Bel and Babylon, and I will bring forth out of his mouth that which he hath swallowed up, and the nations shall not flow together any more unto him. Yea, the wall of Babylon shall fall. My people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord. And lest your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land, a rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that is another year, shall come a rumor and a violence in the land, ruler against ruler. I wish I had a note here about what he's talking about. Ruler against ruler. 47. Therefore, behold, the days come, that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. Then the heaven and the earth and all that is therein shall sing for Babylon, for the spoilers shall come unto her from the north, saith the Lord. As Babylon hath caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of all the earth. Ye that have escaped the sword, go away. Stand not still, remember the Lord afar off, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. We are confounded, because we have heard reproach. Shame hath covered our faces, for strangers are come into the sanctuaries of the Lord's house. Wherefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will do judgment upon her graven images, and through all her land the wounded shall groan. Though Babylon should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, yet from me shall spoilers come unto her, saith the Lord. A sound of a cry cometh from Babylon, and great destruction from the land of the Chaldeans. Because the Lord hath spoiled Babylon, and destroyed out of her the great voices. When her waves do roar like great waters, a noise of their voice is uttered. Because the spoiler is come upon her, even upon Babylon, and her mighty men are taken, every one of their bows is broken. For the Lord God of recompenses shall surely requite. And I will make drunk her princes and her wise men, her captains and her rulers, and her mighty men, and they shall sleep a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith the King, whose name is the Lord of hosts. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the broad walls of Babylon shall be utterly broken, and her high gates shall be burned with fire. And the people shall labor in vain, and the folk in the fire, and they shall be weary. The word which Jeremiah the prophet commanded Seraiah the son of Neriah, the son of Maaseiah, when he went with Zedekiah the king of Judah into Babylon in the 4th year of his reign, and this Seraiah was a quiet prince. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that should come upon Babylon, even all these words that are written against Babylon. And Jeremiah said to Seraiah, When thou comest to Babylon, and shalt see, and shalt read all these words, then shalt thou say, O Lord, thou hast spoken against this place to cut it off, that none shall remain in it, neither man nor beast, but that it shall be desolate forever. And it shall be, when thou hast made an end of reading this book, that thou shalt bind a stone in it, or to it, and cast it into the midst of Euphrates. And thou shalt say, Thus shall Babylon sink, and shalt not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. Wow. Well, how do you respond to that. So archaeologists, though, they've found a lot of, I mean, Babylon is that Iraq? I'm not sure. Or is that? I'm not sure. I think there was a conspiracy about the remains of Nimrod being found, or remains of a giant or something. Or no. Yeah, maybe it was. I don't know. But isn't that what, that's what Saddam Hussein, that's what he called himself. He said, I am Nebuchadnezzar reincarnated. So, or I don't know if that was, yeah. But, never mind. There's a lot of interesting stuff to discuss about current events and conspiracy theories related to Iraq, and then you relate it back to what we just read, and you're like, wow, you know, very interesting stuff. But I have to leave. Well, I'm not leaving, but I'm stopping the video. We'll finish Jeremiah next time. Thank you for listening. Have a blessed day.